I live? And you can hear me through that, yeah?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do to get into Chitu-box is we're going to open up a folder. We're going to type C, colon, and then backspace. And then this will bring us to the Windows, which is locked out for you guys. I'm then going to go to Program Files, and then I am going to find Chitu-box 64 1.5. We're going to click on that folder, and then we're going to go down to Applications. So I'm going to click on the application, Chitu-box application, and then this will open up the program for us. Okay, so when you export your model, so we've got a model here. Let's just press we don't want to check for updates because we can't change that. We have a model here by Huey, which I'm gonna delete and then bring back in so you can see. This operates similar, the navigation of this operates similar to Modbox. Use Alt, right click will rotate, left click will pan, and the middle mouse will zoom in and out. Yeah. Alright, so the first thing that you need to recognize.
You said
C colon backspace in, yeah.
That's just delete. Oh, I think it works.
And then, so what you have to understand here is that this is a plate, the small plate that we're going to be building on, or the machine will build your model on. And we have some tools up here. This is move, rotate, and scale, and mirror. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to open, and you want to find your OBJ file. Yeah. So when you export from Modbox, make sure that you're using the OBJ file. We're going to click open, and it will drop your model in. Yeah. Now, the first thing that we want to do is try to set the size. The smallest we want to go in height or dimension for your character is about 5 centimeters or so. So I'm going to come down here in the scale tool, and I'm just going to type 50 in the so 50 millimeters, 5 centimeters, and it will give us this size. We can go bigger. But the higher your model goes, the longer it will take to print. Yeah. So just say if we go up to 60, and that's okay. All right. I'm sorry, you don't have to hold Alt to rotate around. It's just the right click will do that. All right. So here you can see the model. So this is the layer amount. That you can see. You can scale it up and down because this is how it's going to be printing. It will print upside down. The first thing that we need to do is mess about with the settings, because we have to tell the machine what type of printer we're using, the program what type of printer we're using. So I'm going to go into settings. If you don't have this here, Elegoo Mars, make sure you press add new printer. And we have the Elegoo Mars. We don't use any of the others, so make sure you select the Elegoo Mars. Press OK. Then we want to come over to the resin. So yeah, that's all fine. We want to come over to the resin. Now this is the liquid that we will be using in order to print our model. We have to put in a price. This will tell you how much it will cost to print, and we're going to put 40 pounds and change this to the English pounds, and then the resin type is normal and the density is normal there. Next, we can change these settings, but I prefer to change them later, so we're going to leave this one here. We can state if we want our model to be infilled, or have a grid, or have none. We're going to leave that empty. Then advanced, we're going to tick on anti-aliasing, and we're going to leave that number there. Okay, so once that's done, you press X, and that's the basic setup, setting up of the machine. Okay, the next thing we need to do is actually, let me hollow out the model now. So I wouldn't want this model to be a complete solid because of the size we're going. It will take long to dry on the inside using UV lights. So I'm gonna state that I want this to be hollow. So I'm gonna go to hollow mode, and then I'm gonna say I want the thickness to remain on 2. So put yours to 2 millimeters. You can go smaller. The thinner you go, you can go really thin, but the thinner you go, the thinner the model, and then it will be have some buoyancy. And then I'm gonna start, and here you can see it's hollowing it out. Okay, it's finished. Okay, so I can move this down. Okay, so as you can see here, it's now cut out. We can see the inside, and it's gonna create that. That's gonna be the thickness of everything. Yeah. All right. The next step we will do is, or if you need to do, depending on your type of model, we can also dig holes in the model. And the reason for this is to make areas that the model can leak out the excess resin. So if I put down to 2 millimeters, and then I can say add a hole, and you can place the hole wherever you want. So let's say if I add a hole in the back of the head here, you can see that it made a chunk. Yeah, and you can see on the inside, and it's placed a little chunk there. We're going to leave that there, so, just in case. The next step I want to do is I want to go to the structure or making the stilts. So automatically it puts it up in the z-axis, so it's not building it directly on the floor. And the red areas, the red areas that you can see here are going to be areas which could be difficult to print, so you would want to put stilts on there. Within the stilt structure, what we have is light, medium and heavy stilts. So as I click along, you can clearly see the difference, the image that it shows. The thin stilts can be pulled away by hand and will not or should not leave any indentation, but it might. The medium might leave some indentation, and we'll have to use clippers to cut away these stilts. And the heavy stilts will definitely leave some indentations, but we can modify everything. Yeah. There's a bunch of options here that we can change and meddle about with, but I'm going to leave everything as a standard, and we are not going to be using overall raft. Okay, so with the direction that this is being placed, I am going to create a platform. So that's automatic. Yep, and you can see what it's done there. It's tried to place the stilts in all of the areas that it believes it will need to complete the model. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go modify and add our own. And if I scale down, I believe, there's stilts on the inside, which is also fine. Okay, so the objective here actually is to, as we grow our layer, what we want to look out for are things called islands. So that's anything that is creating anything that needs to be created out of space. Just say, for instance, you can use the up and down arrow, I believe. Yes, use the up and down arrow, and I zoom in here. There's a big separation here from the hands to the side of the hands to the paw. So this bit, there will be nothing to actually hold or grow it up. So we'll need to create some stilts along this area, and I would use the light stilts to do that. If we don't put stilts in these areas that begin to grow, then there will be errors in the model, chunks will be missing, or it could actually result in the whole thing failing. So the way how we add stilts, so like I said, I'm going to keep it on my light stilts for now because these areas are small. I would go along where I believe it is needed, and on the add support, so we have add supports, we have delete supports, and we have edit supports. So what I would do is come along like to here, and you can see we have like a green arrow to point where we want this to be created, and then I am going to press the left click and create a thin stilt. Now it looks large, but it is a lot thinner than the others, and we can thin them out a bit more. And I will do the same to the opposite side as a precaution, like so. Okay, and let me do one here as well, and here. All right, and we should continue to move up, and anywhere that you see stilts growing, islands growing from, with no that's floating in the air type of thing, you want to add more stilts. Okay, so sometimes I think it will happen around here, like here we need some stilts and stuff. I clicked on to create a thin stilt, but what has happened is it's growing the stilt from the belly area, the base area. We don't want this, because this will create a situation where we'll have to cut away, and it may cause deflections on your model. So I'm going to click on to the delete support, so I have to click and select the support I want to delete, and then come back and click the delete support in order for it to disappear. So how would I sort this error out? Okay, so I'm going to move to medium. Let me try click here. No, it doesn't want to go. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on this. Whoops, sorry. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. That's why. Sorry, my bad. Okay, so let's delete this support again. And what I'm going to do is I am going to click on the add support, and I'm going to click onto this chain here. I'm going to edit this support to come out and in the middle as much as possible, and then I'm going to pull this one up here like so. I can click on the nub and bring this nub up also. So let me bring it to like here, and let me click and move this to that chin area. So okay, and now I can continue to do this. So I'm gonna click off here. Whoops, I'm on the edit. I'm gonna click off here again. I'm gonna click to edit the support, move it where I feel it would be best suited, and then move the end of the support over, just to make sure that it has something to grow from. And then we can bring that up a bit, and hopefully the same can be done on the opposite side. So click to add, click on it to edit, move in place, and then move the endpoint in order just to help support the area. Okay, and let me try something here. And you can also add supports to the supports to help the supports grow, which is a good thing. So the supports being entwined into one another is actually a good thing. It helps just to give more structure to everything. Okay. Also, these supports can be edited, so it grows thinner or lighter, but I'm not going to mess around with them. I'm going to continue to pull up. So if I just look on this side, those look like they'll grow fine, not an issue. Okay, so we've covered the chin area, which is good. Everything else is moving up as it should. Okay, and the last thing I want to check is the back area, because I believe these spikes might need some help. Just the tiny ones, the light versions. So I'm gonna go into add, and let's see if we can't click here. So yeah, this definitely needs some help. Okay, so let me add support here, and then edit this one. As best as I can. And same for the other one. Add another support maybe, and then edit. Okay, let me add another one. And then edit this. And then I believe the rest is fine, because it all goes, they all go up. Oops, what's that bit there? This bit on the side of the cheek may need some help, and we're just going to grow them off the side for this one. Oops, add, like so. Check the opposite side. Should be it. Okay, so just say if I'm happy with this model, even though I would put a lot more work into it. Actually, let's add some more along here and edit this. So edit. Add again. Let me try and use this one, and then edit the endpoint along here. And I will do the same for the opposite side. But anyway, let's move on. So you've got everything done in terms of the stilts, and you're ready to go. The next step for us to do is to go back to the main area, and you want to click slice. Now you can see here it's saying slice, it's slicing the model, and what it's doing is creating a lot of different images, matte layers, black and white, and it's going to use this to project the UV light, or to block out the UV light from the panel in so when the UV light hits the resin, it will start to harden. Yeah, so you can see here what we have. It's like a MRI scan. Yeah, so anywhere in the light will be hardened, and this is what is going to make our model. And then if it's not in the light, it won't hold. Okay, so you can see here it says that this model will cost 59p, and it will use up this amount of resin, and it should take about 5 hours and 20 minutes to complete. Alright, so we're going to reduce this time by meddling with the settings. So we've got a little tab down here in the middle of the screen. So if I press that, and what we're going to do is we're going to increase the exposure time just to give it more time for the liquid to set, or the resin to set with the UV light. We're going to leave the bottom exposure time because we want to place a lot more, we want to give a lot more time on the bottom base in order for it to stick as good as it can. We are going to change the lift distance to 5. It doesn't, and so that's the height it leaves the platform. We don't need it to leave at 7 millimeters. Every bit counts. And we're going to change the speed at which it operates and put 300 on both of these. Okay, and what it's done is it's reduced the time it will take to 4 hours and 30 minutes and 16 seconds. Alright, so once we're happy with that, which we won't know until we there is still a chance of failure, and then we'll just have to go and see where it failed, come back, make adjustments, and then go again. You press save, and it will ask where do you want to save it. Now I have a memory stick that these files will be saved to, and then that memory stick will hold all of the information needed, which will be plugged into the printer, and then we navigate the printer in order to get your model printed. The file type is the CBDDLP slicer images. You just press save. It says it's writing. Give it a couple of seconds or a minute to write, depending on how heavy your file is, how tall it will be, and whatnot. And then once it's finished, it will say successfully written. And then the next process is just waiting for it to be printed. Okay, that is going to be it for the demonstration. I hope it was enough information there, even though I really didn't give much. And yeah, so it's going to be experimenting from here on in for all of your different model types and so forth. Okay, actually, I'll tell you what I'll do, because I'll show you alternative ways depending on the type of model you have. So let's wait for this to finish writing. Okay, it says write successful, and then you can see it in the folder. But anyway, let's leave that. Just say if I was unhappy or I wanted to reduce the time even more. So this was 4.5 hours we got it up to, or down to. Let's go back into the platform, and I'm gonna remove all of my platforms. Okay, another way we can do this is by orientating our model. So if your model is more on a high distance, or some models just do better by rotating them. So if we click on the rotation, we don't have to input them manually. We have the axes here. What I would generally do, sometimes do, depending on how the model is you can rotate, and you can see it will always place itself along the floor. You should rotate your model to, like, say 35, 45 degree angle, 20, 35, 30, 35 degree angle, um, and then on the Y rotation or whatever it is, lean it slightly over. Yeah. The point of this is, depending on how the resin is filtering and stuff, you can get your models extremely smooth. Or sometimes you can get it can be come out and be pixelated. It all depends. But this is a good way of orientating. And let's just go in, just say if I was happy with this rotation. Like I said, you never know until you do the experiments. I'm just going to do the auto platforms with the medium settings on. So you can see it's made a lot more platforms for me. But let's go back in and just say if I'm happy with everything once I've gone through that process that we've stated again. And then we press slice. It's going to slice it up. Okay, so you can see that it's giving us a different MRI layout. But straight away, this one says it's going to be 4 hours and 1 minute. So let's call it 4 hours and 1 minute. And then if we change the settings again to the inputs which I've stated, which is exposure time 10, lift distance 5, and then the lift speed and retraction speed 300 a piece. You can see we're down to 3.5 hours. So we cut by rotating our model in order to get a different cut. We've lost a whole hour just by rotating it. So the higher your model is, the longer it's going to take to print. So if your model is a very thin model but is high, you can literally place it lying down. Either way, it's going to be printing out in a similar fashion. You just have to make sure if you're using when you're using your stilts, or you have your stilts placed, that there could be imperfections on the model. So if you can get the imperfections away from the front area of the model, that would be best. Yeah. But you can literally get a model which would take 6-7 hours. You can get it down to an hour, depending on how you place it, how you rotate it, how you handle the situation. Alright, I'm going to call it. That's going to be the end of the tutorial. Let's go back and log off. Okay,